Vaping. It's the latest in what many believe to be the safer alternative to smoking. The tool to quit conventional cigarettes. And it's gotten millions around the world hooked.
Kalau misalkan saya ada yang challenge ya, saya kasih uang $1 miliar gitu untuk berhenti vaping, mungkin saya tidak ya.
Pasti kemana-mana selalu pegang vape ya.
The size of the global vape or electronic cigarette market has skyrocketed in recent years, from just $50 million in 2005 to over $20 billion in 2019. Malaysia and Indonesia have seen fit to let the industry grow within their borders relatively unfettered.
Belum sama sekali regulasi yang mengatur soal rokok vaping di Indonesia, baik itu di media cetak, elektronik, ataupun terutama di media digital.
Industri vape di Malaysia berpegang kepada stand alternatif untuk berhenti merokok.
Yet regional neighbors like Cambodia and Singapore have slapped outright bans on e-cigarettes. Even Thailand, which has legalized cannabis, has imposed possible jail time for vaping. Why are there such contrasting reactions? Are e-cigarettes the tool to quit smoking? Or is there more to vaping than meets the eye?
Wangi pisang ya, padahal dia nggak tahu gue lagi giting.
Somewhere in the cool mountain city of Bandung, a group of vapers are gathered. But not just any vapers. This is a team of competitive vape trickers.
Vape tricker bisa dibilang kayak sebuah seninya vape ya. Kayak bikin bulat otomatis, kalau dari bulat bisa dijadiin segitiga ataupun kotak ataupun dibelah dua ataupun dibelah tiga.
Bisa dikombinasi, ada kombo-kombonya juga, ada bervarian trik lah gitu, yang bisa kalian pelajari, yang bisa kalian keluarkan di saat kompetisi vape trick.
Aku waktu mau competition itu latihan dari jam 7 malam sampai jam 4 subuh.
The youngsters are happy to put in the hours because coming up with the most creative and impressive tricks comes with rich rewards sponsored by the vape industry.
Untuk hadiahnya bisa sekitaran paling tinggi pernah 50 juta.
That's over 5 times the average monthly salary in Indonesia. The team's next big vape tricking competition is due in less than a month at one of Indonesia's annual vape expos or trade shows. "150 kilometers away from Bandung, in the nation's capital of Jakarta. Others are also gearing up for the same vape expo.
Hari ini kita lagi ada photoshoot buat produk vape, produk aku sendiri sih, yang bakal launching nanti. Ini salah satu produk aku yang bakal launching. Ini liquidnya dan ini device-nya. Flavornya rasanya lemon coke, karena aku suka banget cola dan aku suka yang segar-segar. Jadi aku bikin flavornya ini aku yang ciptain sendiri. Karena aku mau sesuatu yang daily tapi nggak bosen untuk flavor di vape. Launchingnya di Invex. Invex itu International Vape Expo di Jogja.
The first Invex Vape Expo happened in 2017, when there were just over 1 million vapers in Indonesia. Today, that number has soared to 6.6 million. That's 8% of the vaping population in the world.
Itu diadakannya rutin 1 tahun sekali. Itu akan banyak tenan dari Indonesia ataupun dari luar. Dan biasanya kalau di vape fair itu atau expo vape, dia ada kayak lomba-lombanya juga, launching produk juga. Udah seru banget pokoknya.
And at vape events, Jessica's a bit of a celebrity.
3 tahun lalu, target aku adalah masuk 5 besar influencer vape di Indonesia. Tapi target aku sekarang adalah masuk 10 besar di dunia.
Fueled by trendy social media influencers like Jessica and the alluring novelty of vape trigging, vaping has now developed a whole culture of its own. But it didn't start that way. It began simply as a way for cigarette smokers to wean themselves off their addiction. The burning of tobacco in conventional cigarettes is what produces the 2 killer toxins of smoking, tar and carbon monoxide. In contrast, vapes don't contain tobacco and don't produce smoke. Instead, they use an electronic heating method that only generates vapor, potentially rendering them less harmful. E-cigarettes started gaining popularity around 2014. Since then, thousands have managed to quit smoking, thanks to vaping.
Saya rokok udah cukup lumayan lama, itu dari kelas 6 SD. Dari usia kurang lebih 11 atau 12 tahun ya. Saya 20 tahun merokok dan sangat berat sekali. Hitungannya sih saya per jam sih. Per jam itu 1 jam tuh bisa habis 1 bungkus. Saya nggak pernah check up ketika saya perokok berat. Cuman badan itu berasa capek, apalagi naik tangga. Kalau lagi kayak batuknya gimana itu reaknya bisa sampai kuning. Jadi ya saya bilang merokok waktu itu ya membuat saya nggak terlalu healthy banget ya. Suami saya bilang, kenapa kita nggak coba berhenti merokok, kita coba lari ke vaping. Terus ketenangan, biasa kan kalau sambil kerja butuh ada rokok di samping gitu. Dulu mungkin kita megang 1 batang rokok, sekarang kita megang alat vaping. Perbedaan kesehatannya tuh banyak banget. Saya kuat jalan lagi, kuat lari lagi, nggak gampang ngos-ngosan, apalagi naik tangga. Tidur juga lebih nyenyak. Jadi sekarang saya 100% tidak merokok sama sekali, saya hanya vaping saja.
Motivasi aku totally di vape ya, karena mamaku tuh sempat terkena cancer nasofaring. Salah satu penyebab terbesarnya itu adalah asap rokok. Walaupun dia tidak merokok, tapi kalau ada orang di sekitarnya yang merokok dan itu kena impact-nya ke dia. Dan dari situ aku langsung kayak oke, kayaknya boleh deh mengedukasi teman-teman sekitar, keluarga dulu untuk switch to vaping.
So, e-cigarettes seem like the ultimate public health panacea, especially for a country like Indonesia, where over 1/3 of adults smoke, one of the highest smoking rates in the world. Yet, around 2014, governments around the world started coming down hard on vaping, with some even going so far as to ban it. What is behind such drastic action against something that could very well be the be-all, end-all solution to the global tobacco crisis? Indonesia is now home to 6.6 million vapers, and over the years, they've created a vibrant subculture around vaping. With vape expos, vape trick competitions, and even vape-specific food establishments, or what is known as a vape cafe.
Vape Hunt itu dia sebuah ya tempat buat beli vape. Ada bisa lu beli liquid, beli macam-macam lah pokoknya. Nah di sana lu bisa nongkrong juga karena di sana ada vape cafe.
A mainstay of such vape cafes and other vape shops is a counter or bar like this, where hundreds of colorful vapes line the shelves behind, and there is a team of staff ready to assist you with your vape order. There's even a special name they go by, vaporistas, like a vape barista.
Vaporista itu kalau bisa dibilang garda terdepan industri vape karena dia yang melayani apa kebutuhan konsumen yang dia butuhkan. Di Vape Cafe itu yang paling banyak itu udah pasti beli liquid, beli device, pot atau atomizer.
Liquids, devices, pods, and atomizers. If you're not familiar with vaping, you can quickly get lost navigating the ever-evolving vaping vocabulary. But while e-cigarettes today come in all shapes and sizes, they all essentially work the same way. There is a battery component that powers a heating coil, which heats up a tank of flavored e-liquid and vaporizes it. The vapor is then inhaled by the user through a small mouthpiece. The flavorings of the e-liquid are a huge factor in the appeal of e-cigarettes. For many vapers, it is the wide variety that first draws them in, and one of the reasons that keeps them coming back for more.
Kalau untuk rasanya sendiri itu saya banyak banget ya untuk sekarang ini kan ada rasa durian, ada rasa strawberry, ada blackcurrant.
Flavor yang paling aku suka dari semua rasa ada rasa oat milk. Kayak kita makan oat milk yang agak kering tapi ada susunya dan basah ya.
Almost any food flavor you can think of, there's likely an e-liquid equivalent of it. But unlike food products, e-cigarettes are not required to disclose their ingredients. Some 16,000 flavors are available on the market, yet most of their labels remain vague. So what exactly is inside a vape e-liquid? Undercover Asia sent 5 popular e-liquid flavors for testing: cola, grape, bandung, caramel, and custard cream. We consulted experts about the results.
So something that was found in all these 5 e-liquids was nicotine. So nicotine is an addictive substance that can be found in all cigarettes as well.
Often we think of nicotine as this innocuous substance that just causes addiction, but it causes so many more things than that. Nicotine actually narrows the blood vessels, which can cause cardiovascular disease. It has some metabolic effects, which can increase the risk of diabetes.
And in terms of the lung, our lungs are lined with tiny hairs that are called cilia, and these act as a barrier function for the lungs. So nicotine actually damages these cells, and so you're increased chances of exposing to infections, and then long term there's chronic lung diseases such as asthma and also cancers as well.
In cigarettes, nicotine is released from the burning of tobacco. But in vapes, manufacturers pre-extract the nicotine from tobacco leaves in advance and then add it to e-liquids.
The delivery of nicotine is faster, quicker, compared to waiting for that nicotine to come out from the combustion of the tobacco.
Why add such an addictive and harmful substance to something promoted as a healthier alternative to cigarettes? To investigate, Undercover Asia goes to Malaysia, a country that, despite its relatively small size, has emerged as one of the world's biggest producers of e-liquids. We managed to speak to the largest vape manufacturer there.
Since the beginning, our campaign is actually stop smoking in 7 days or money back guarantee. So, untuk seseorang perokok berhenti merokok, dia perlu certain amount of nicotine. 1 stick of cigarette contain 2.4 mg of nicotine. So, 1 pack of cigarette contain 48 mg of nicotine. So, for example, like this one, we have 2 ml. Let's say they smoke 2 pack of cigarette is equals to 1 pot of this. So nicotine-wise is the same.
Tapi kalau di vape, kita bisa sesuaikan nikotin, seberapa banyak nikotin yang kita mau gunakan untuk daily.
E-liquids are available in various nicotine strengths, from 0 nicotine up to 12 milligrams per milliliter or more. The goal for people who want to quit smoking is to eventually reach 0. But 0 nicotine vapes are not exactly commonplace. One study in the US found that they account for less than 1% of the market share. And even the biggest vape manufacturer in Malaysia doesn't sell it.
We don't sell 0 nicotine because if you sell the 0 nicotine, you can't quit smoking.
Kebetulan saya di adjustnya bukan merendah tapi meninggi. Awalnya tuh saya beli lokal gitu, nikotinnya tuh 30. Terus tiba-tiba nggak ada barangnya, akhirnya saya beli yang merek luar, itu udah adanya 48. Akhirnya ya saya pakai yang 48. Sensasinya beda ya. Nah kalau pakai yang 48, lebih enjoy ya maksudnya.
But nicotine is not all that we need to worry about. Our results from testing the 5E liquids also detected 2 other chemicals not listed on the ingredient label, vanillin and acetaldehyde.
Acetaldehyde was found in all the 5 products that were measured. That is a carcinogen, and it also can increase the addictiveness effects of the nicotine. 3 of them out of the 5 products contain vanillin. Vanillin comes from the vanilla extract that is added on as a sweetener or as an additive for flavoring. These compounds are fine to be swallowed, but when we heat it up and inhale it, it actually is an irritant to the lungs.
Dua-duanya berbahaya karena kandungannya sama. Ada nikotin, gliserol, logam, ya, kemudian zat-zat karsinogenik lain yang macam-macam itu semua ada di dua-duanya. Jadi dua-duanya sama berbahaya. Hanya dimanipulasi oleh baunya aja tadi, misalnya dikasih bau strawberry, kopi.
Because there are thousands and thousands of different e-liquids, so we don't really know what's in them and what those compounds could cause in the body if they're inhaled. We honestly just don't know.
So food flavouring semua perisa dia semua safe lah?
Safe. You boleh dekat website kat luar bersepah-sepah maklumat.
Public Health of England, they come out with a research in 2016. Dia cakap vaping is 95% safer than smoking cigarette.
Industri vape di Malaysia, kita istilahkan vape ni sebagai peranti alternatif untuk berhenti merokok. Dan dia dari segi kesihatan dekat negara-negara luar jelas terbukti yang dia adalah selamat daripada rokok. Sebab rokok kita dah tahu dia ada lebih kurang 4,000-5,000 chemical. Dan dari situlah, daripada rokok yang mudarat dia besar, kita ambil mudarat yang lebih kecil lah, vape.
In short, vape companies argue that they are focused on harm reduction and not harm eradication.
Alasannya kenapa saya berhenti dari merokok pindah ke vaping, saya merasa rokok itu nggak good untuk saya. Beberapa orang boleh berbicara bahwa vaping itu tidak bagus untuk kesehatan. Tapi kalau untuk saya sendiri, saya berpendapat ya sedikit berbeda ya. Karena buat saya yang merasakan.
But here's the thing. Cherry is 45 years old. And according to a 2018 Indonesian Public Health Survey, less than 1% of her age group vape. The age groups that have the highest prevalence of vaping are all adolescents. Nearly 11% of those between 10 to 19 years old vape. The number is similar across other parts of the region, including in Malaysia, where youth vaping rates sit at 10%. That's more than 500,000 underage vapers.
Because the brains are still developing up until we're about 25 years old, which means that before that age, if you start using something as addictive as nicotine, you're much, much more likely to become addicted to it.
Early exposed to nicotine, their lungs are even smaller and weaker. They don't grow to the full capacity, and so the breathing and their regular lifestyle in doing what they want to do can be hampered without proper amount of oxygen in their body.
Concerned by these health effects, activist Envy Subarao has made it his mission to educate Malaysia's youth on the dangers of vaping nicotine. He has interviewed more than 1,000 primary and secondary school students to understand why they are drawn to vaping.
Now even minors, even children from the age of 7 to 12 primary education also addicted to this vape. Many of the students that we interviewed, and I asked them, will you touch cigarettes? They say no, because they hate the smell of tobacco. And this vape product doesn't have any smell of tobacco, only on flavors, sweets and chocolates, Mentos. The flavors only pull these children into become an addict into vape and e-cigarettes.
Well, we have a lot of overwhelming evidence that the main people that are going to these novelty flavors, like boba tea, rainbow bubblegum, these are pretty much the young people.
High rates of youth vaping have prompted several countries, including the US and Canada, to announce bans on flavored vapes. So if smoking cessation is the stated aim, then why not sell non-flavored vapes?
Flavor tu memainkan peranan untuk seseorang tu berhenti merokok. Kalau kita hisap downhill tu 10 tahun rasa downhill lah. Bila kita hisap vape, kalau hari ni kita hisap strawberry, tang kita, lidah kita ni akan mute tau. Lepas tu tak akan rasa apa dah. Tu dia hisap strawberry, dia tukar honeydew. Tu pasal bila you tengok orang hisap vape, dia kena tukar. Dan baru dia boleh berhenti.
You might have also noticed that vapes don't look like cigarettes at all. Their sleek, trendy and colourful designs instead resemble highlighter pens or tech gadgets.
And even there's one product, a watch, and nobody can say it's a vape, so they can easily escape from the parents.
Dari survei yang kami lakukan itu justru memang muncul anggapan bahwa mengapa mereka remaja-remaja ini merokok vaping karena asumsi atau anggapan bahwa merokok vaping dianggap lebih aman, lebih beradab karena pembentukan opini oleh industri vaping lewat iklan-iklannya, lewat marketingnya.
Because of the well-documented harmful effects of smoking, most countries restrict conventional cigarette advertising. Cigarette advertising in Indonesia is limited to billboards, print media, and certain hours on broadcast media. In Malaysia, the rules are even stricter, as all forms of cigarette advertising are prohibited.
Tetapi belum sama sekali regulasi yang mengatur soal rokok vaping di Indonesia, baik itu di media cetak, elektronik, ataupun terutama di media digital. Itulah yang sangat mengkhawatirkan mengapa pertumbuhan jumlah perokok vaping di Indonesia begitu cepat karena masifnya iklan rokok vaping di media digital atau media internet.
Cabaran kita pun tak pernah masuk TV pun. So kita guna media sosial lah. Dalam industri kita ada influencer vape.
Yang benar-benar sekarang sponsor aku itu rutin dari 2017 tuh sampai sekarang. 7 brand, 7 company yang kerjasama dari 2017 sampai sekarang nggak pernah stop.
But even as social media and attractive vape flavors draw young people in, vapes are not particularly affordable, especially for school students.
For us, it's important to target the 35 years old and above and not youngsters. So how to do it? The pricing is not too cheap for the youngsters to access them.
NanoSticks sells rechargeable and refillable vape devices. A device with an accompanying flavor sells for around 100 ringgit, or around $23. That's nearly 2/3 of the average daily wage in Malaysia. But other manufacturers also make disposable vapes. They have a limited number of puffs, but they are cheaper, selling for as little as 15 ringgit, or just over $3. So the students, who get about $1 to $2 a day for pocket money, the devices aren't exactly out of reach. Subarao has also observed that vape shops have come up with ingenious ways to co-opt students into their retail and marketing operation by recruiting them to be vape peddlers.
The vape is sold by the student in the class. They get their friends to buy vape and they get a discount from particular shop, 30 to 40% discount.
These practices targeting minors violate the vape industry's own publicly proclaimed self-regulation regime.
Kalau you pergi kedai vape pun ada stiker 18 tahun. Packaging kita pun ada, kita letak this product bukan untuk kanak-kanak. Kita buat sendiri. Atas inisiatif sendiri untuk kita nak kerajaan nampak kita memang willing nak regulate.
To understand how effective the so-called self-regulation regime is, Undercover Asia sent a young person into 6 vape shops in Malaysia.
Akak baru-baru nak try lah ni. Mama baru. Tak smoking apa?
Vape shops in Malaysia claim they do not sell to minors under 18. Yet it is estimated that 1 in 10 youths in the country are actively vaping. We went undercover in 6 vape shops in Kuala Lumpur to see if they would sell any of their products to someone who looks like a teenager.
Ada tak macam sekarang flavor apa yang popular?
Yakult lah, Melayu. Tu paling top.
Smoking ke? Sebelum ni ada smoking?
Tak.
Tak smoking langsung eh?
Akak baru-baru nak try lah ni. Mama baru. Memang baru gila. Memang baru gila. Untuk beginner okey ke?
Okey. Yakult dia soft je. Dia keras.
Nak soft-soft, nak try permulaan dulu, saya recommend ambil ni. Dia 10,000 puff, RM36.
Sejuk macam mana? Sejuk akak. Kalau akak nak isap pot ni kan, akak nak rasa sejuk ke atau nak rasa biasa je?
Kalau tak apa, asuh. Sebab dia punya nikotin dia tak tinggi sangat, tak rendah sangat lah, tengah-tengah.
Perform grade apple
Of the 6 shops that Undercover Asia visited, none of them asked for ID, despite 4 of them displaying 18+ signs. But vape companies are saying that the age restrictions are self-enforced. It's not a law.
Sejak 2012, kami telah memohon kerajaan untuk mengeluarkan undang-undang bagi mengawal selia penjualan vape dan rokok elektronik.
Tapi sehingga sekarang masih tak jadi-jadilah. Yang itu yang kita rasa sedih sikitlah.
But if current federal laws were to be strictly applied, the way vapes are being sold freely today would be illegal. That's because in Malaysia, nicotine is a controlled poison that can only be purchased legally from pharmacists and doctors. But there is one exception: tobacco products like cigarettes, are exempted from the nicotine restriction and can be sold anywhere to anyone above 18 years old. And these have become the rules that the vape industry claims to follow. Whether unintentionally or by design, the inroads made by vapes in the youth market is making big tobacco sit up and take notice.
Over the past 10 years plus, we've been seeing tobacco companies acquiring these independent e-cigarette companies and brands. And the tobacco companies know that people are rejecting smoking. They just don't want to smoke anymore. So they have to find a way to stay afloat.
Jadi untuk backup produk, ini merupakan new product bagi industri rokok konvensional untuk migrasi ke produk rokok vaping juga.
So with that comes a huge growth because obviously the tobacco transnationals have a lot of resources to market their products to young people, and they have a long history of these tactics, so they know exactly what they're doing.
With lifelong addiction and health risks associated with vaping by minors, and with big tobacco muscling in with their potential billions to market their own vapes, governments in the region are now scrambling to keep vapes out of the hands of minors, with some considering vaping bans.
We actually were involved last year when our former minister, Mr. Khairi Jamaluddin, proposed this idea, general end game. We call it GEG.
The GEG bill, if passed, would prevent individuals born in 2007 or later from ever legally purchasing smoking products, including vapes, even after they turn 18 in 2025.
This might be the optimal solution that could help to reduce this vaping prevalence in a very concrete timeline. You can see an end that vaping and smoking will definitely reduce to less than 5% in 2045, which is one of our target goals.
But governments, activists, and lawmakers face a formidable challenge: the vaping lobby.
The vaping lobby consists of the companies that are selling vaping products, a lot of third parties and front groups like retailer associations or vaping manufacturer associations, trade associations, these kind of groups.
Keahlian persatuan ni, kita ramai, semua doktor ada, peniaga vape ada.
This industry, they're very active in funding researchers. They'll publish some study which claims that e-cigarettes are safe or that they come with very minimal risks. And then even if that study was not very well designed, funded by those e-cigarette companies, it'll still get through to the media. And then if you're just going by these headlines that e-cigarettes are safe, it's very hard for us to really make, a very informed decision.
Kita jumpa YB Khairi Jamaluddin, kita debate macam mana GG, macam mana perancangan diorang, dan kita beri maklum malas apa yang perlu, apa yang tak perlu.
The goal of the vaping lobby is obviously to sell as many vaping products as possible, and because regulation plays a big role in how much they can sell, right? So one of their goals when it comes to lobbying is to try and weaken or avoid these regulations as much as possible.
Cabaran awal masa penubuhan awal tu, kita dengar kerajaan nak ban penjualan vape. Kita dapat lebih kurang 50,000 tanda tangan daripada semua vapers seluruh Malaysia dan bawa petition tu ke kerajaan supaya ambil maklum vape ni tak perlu di-ban, tetapi perlu diregulasikan.
Since the tabling of the bill, Malaysia has seen a new government take the reins. With many other political agendas to deal with, the proposed generational endgame bill has taken a back seat for now. Neighbouring Indonesia, meanwhile, has moved ahead to regulate and tax the vice to fill government coffers. It has slapped a 57% excise tax on vape liquids.
Sejauh ini kebijakan terkait dengan industri hasil tembakau, termasuk di dalamnya vape, pemerintah Indonesia menganut prinsip pengaturan. Kita tidak menganut pelarangan. Sekarang industri vape berkembang cukup pesat dan saat ini memang perkembangannya lebih besar dibandingkan industri rokok konvensional. Kalau kita lihat penerimaan cukai dari rokok elektrik pada tahun 2018 sebesar 98,9 miliar rupiah. Pada tahun 2021 meningkat menjadi 629,3 miliar rupiah. Tentunya perkembangan itu tidak lepas dari kebijakan-kebijakan yang dilakukan oleh pemerintah.
But even as governments grapple with the complex task of regulating e-cigarettes, a more ominous threat looms.
Setelah 2 atau 3 kali hisap, 10 detik,
Singapore's e-cigarette policy is currently the strictest in Southeast Asia. It is illegal to buy, use, import, or sell vape devices.
So in Singapore, I would say that their ban was based on an early precautionary approach. It's like, okay, we have this new product that could potentially help smokers, but we don't know its long-term risks. We don't know how effective it is against current cessation aids, so we wait for the evidence to come out. So that's the approach that Singapore has taken.
Meanwhile, a thriving underground market has already emerged, driven by the high demand amongst young people. Most get their vapes through popular messaging platform Telegram.
Actually, it's surprisingly easy for them to get. A lot of the young people seem to be getting vaping products from online sellers. So kind of do a cash-on-delivery type service to Singapore addresses, sneaking them across the border in from Malaysia.
And recent raids by the authorities give a sense as to the scale of the black market.
More than $300,000 worth of electronic vaporizers.
Nearly $370,000 worth of electronic vaporizers.
More than $2.2 million worth of electronic vaporizers and components has been seized. The HSA found more than 10,000 assorted e-vaporizers, over 48,800 assorted pods, and 187 e-liquids.
What we're seeing is people are really unclear about the harms of vaping. A lot of people don't even seem to be aware that there's nicotine inside the e-liquids, which is really addictive.
However, experts now warn that the danger isn't just what vapes contain, but also what they have the potential to become a conduit of. These are Indonesian police in plain clothes. They've just arrested a suspect and are escorting him into this house in West Jakarta.
Duduk. Siapa ini? Kalau ditanya jawab. Siapa ini? Bisa jawab Kak? Bisa Pak. Nilai.
The floor is scattered with various materials, equipment, and hundreds of vape liquid bottles.
Kita menyita barang bukti liquid vape kurang lebih 350 botol.
But these aren't just your regular vape liquids, because these contain illegal drugs.
Maka mereka tahu tata cara untuk meraciknya dan komposisinya, maka jadilah barang tersebut menjadi liquid vape ini. Jadi modus baru dalam narkotika di Indonesia. Ini yaitu narkotika jenis vape.
In recent years, a cottage industry making narcotic vape liquids has started to sprout in Indonesia. But it's a cottage industry with a wide network.
Ini jaringan internasional, yang penting mendatangkan barang mentahnya dari luar. Tantangan kami yaitu tadi, kami harus mengetahui informasi pengiriman barang masuk yang akan masuk ke Indonesia.
What's more, these makeshift home labs don't stay in the same location for long.
modus operandi supaya ini berpindah-pindah seperti dengan halnya proses penjualan. Mereka setelah melakukan penjualan langsung take down, putus penjualannya, kemudian sama halnya dengan proses produksi. Setelah mereka berproduksi, sekali produksi mereka akan berpindah tempat lagi.
To understand how they came about, what vaping narcotics can do to you, Undercover Asia tracks down vape drug users.
Liquid THC itu booming itu sekitar 2017 akhir sampai 2019 awal lah, booming banget, banyak.
THC, or tetrahydrocannabinol, is the psychoactive substance that can be extracted from the cannabis plant. It is the compound responsible for producing the high feeling that people typically associate with marijuana. It is illegal to use, possess, or sell all forms of marijuana in Indonesia.
Aku dapat informasi dari teman ke teman ya. Lalu akhirnya ketemulah satu akun Instagram yang ngejual itu. Dari situ ya mulai sering beli di orang itu ya, di akun itu. Kalau ganja yang biasa mungkin ya butuh waktu 3 menit atau 5 menit. Kalau ini betul-betul instan. Setelah 2 atau 3 kali hisap, 10 detik.
But THC isn't the only drug that is being added to vape liquids.
Jadi awal mula tuh kan sempat lah ya booming itu synthetic drugs kan. Itu 2015. Ada temen di Singapura nawarin, ini ada yang lebih boom, lebih gawat ya. Apaan tuh katanya. Terus dia ngasih tahu, ini loh liquid tapi harus di vape. Cobain lah. Terus, wow, oh ini benar-benar bombastis gitu. Maksudnya pada saat itu semua drugs itu kalah gila ya. Wah, kita kan jadi kan otomatis langsung mikir, wah ini kalau dijualin bisa benar-benar boom.
So, Budi and his friends, who were first only users of this illegal vape drug, later became manufacturers and sellers themselves.
Saya tahu teman-teman saya pakai itu synthetic drugs yang cannabinoid yang kayak GHW satu, yang kedua ada MDMA, yang ketiga ya itu crystal meth. Ketika gue pakai liquid vape drugs yang liquid drugs itu di vaping itu sekitaran gue nggak ada yang tahu karena ini ada baunya. Jadi kalau gue pengen bau banana yellow, mereka semua ngisapnya yang sekitaran gue ya cuma ngendus bau banana flavor itu. Wangi pisang ya. Kalau dia nggak tahu gue lagi giting.
The flavors and smells used by regular vape manufacturers to attract youth are also what's masking the scent of the drugs.
Ini sulit dibedakan, yang mana itu bau vape yang benar dan mana vape yang mengandung narkotika, karena mereka mencampurkan lagi di situ aroma-aroma. Nah inilah untuk mengaburkan lagi. Kenapa dilihat dari bangsa pasar tersebut ini lebih cepat dan lebih mudah bagi para pelakunya untuk melakukan penjualan narkotika, maka mereka mencari proses penjualan yang menurut dia mudah dan tidak terdeteksi.
So around 2019 in the US, there was these young people being admitted into hospital for what looked like a very severe lung inflammation, something like an acute pneumonia.
Patients were admitted to hospitals requiring mechanical ventilation, meaning that their lungs cannot even breathe on its own.
And doctors didn't really know what it was. And then when they took more detailed histories and whatnot, they found that majority of them had been vaping with marijuana oils. And that led to some 2,800 people being hospitalized in the US, most of them quite young too. There was one case of a boy, a teenager, who needed a double lung transplant just from vaping.
Terus dari 2015 sampai 18. Habis itu stop gara-gara satu, otak makin kacau, makin hancur. Yang kedua, tenggorokan udah nggak kuat emang. Kadang-kadang iritasi, jadi radang, batuk-batuk, ujung-ujungnya demam. Menurut gua liquid drugs itu benar-benar sangat berbahaya banget sih.
But despite serious concerns about detrimental health effects, drug abuse, and addiction among teenagers, it seems the popularity of vaping shows no signs of slowing down. With its global market size expected to reach $182 billion by 2030, the industry will be increasingly difficult to regulate and enforce.
Dengan munculnya rokok vaping di Indonesia menjadikan beban masyarakat dari sisi kesehatan double. Mengendalikan rokok konvensional saja masih berantakan, masih kacau. Sekarang ditambah dengan munculnya rokok vaping.
Generasi muda ini adalah generasi yang kita ingin mereka itu generasi yang luar biasa. Karena mereka akan menjadi tongkat estafet pembangunan Indonesia ke depan.
This is a very serious problem. We will appeal again and again for a total ban because otherwise many of the youth will lose their lungs.